I really appreciate. Thank you, Ronald. It's nice seeing you again. At least you're not new to me. Welcome, all listeners. As he said, I'm called Gloria Tuyamreva, and he explained the other few things about me. Well, today I'm going to tell you a bit of my story because I believe storytelling says more than just giving you numbers and figures and times and the reference. Unfortunately, our mother passed on when I was 19. I'm the oldest of five, and I had just finished my first year of university. And it's the last thing I expected because she was ill for maybe only 6 weeks. And it was a shocker to me, especially because I was in school abroad. And instantly, I changed from being a little girl that was pampered to maybe a 45-year-old person because I had 4 siblings. Our father had passed on when I was 14. We had businesses. My mother had a few businesses, but the big one was C&S Upholstery, the carpet business, which really was the biggest and has remained the leading until COVID. COVID changed a lot of things, as you all know. C&S made 34 years last year. Not many African or Ugandan businesses, for that matter, can do that. When she passed on, the company had only been open 5 years, but she was such an entrepreneur that everything she touched truly turned to gold. I was a very young girl, like I said, when my father passed on. But from then on, I think at the back of her mind, she always thought, what if I was no more as well? What would happen to my young children? So whenever I would be on holiday, I would work in the shop with her. You know, for me, I thought it was just fun. She's carrying me along, but I was watching what she was doing. When she made all these trips abroad, she carried me along with her. To me, it was, oh, if you do well in school and you're the first, I'll take you on my next trip. But really, what she was doing was showing me the ropes indirectly. When I was going to do my university, I wanted to do engineering. And she sat me down and said, this is 1992. So I am not young. I turned 50 a few months ago. And she said, you see, right now, there's a glass ceiling for women engineers. So I said, what is a glass ceiling? And she said, most probably it will be a desk job, your growth will be stunted, but why don't you do something more that will open up your mind into doing a variety of things? So I go to this university in Texas, and behold, they were not very happy with women doing engineering. So the 5 years I spent, I did 2 degrees, one in accounting and one in economics. She died after my first year. Little did I know that God was setting me up for what I didn't know that was about to come. I returned to Uganda every year for holiday, but I finally returned after my degrees in 1997. And I immediately took on the responsibility of mother, father, company director, name it. So I went from 19 to 40 literally overnight. But over those years, I have learned a lot. And we don't have enough time for me to even tell you a quarter or 1/8 of it. But I'll tell you the highlights because it's related to business recovery and what it is to run a family business. I call it to keep the flame burning. I was young, I had never worked, and you're thrown into this world of carpets, which is a very complicated business because it's really more of a man's business than a woman's business. It's capital intensive, first of all. It's even the people who work to do the job are all men. So it's a man's business. I was a little girl having to go opening, knocking on doors to look for business, learning what marketing is, learning even what the product I'm selling is, because I never ever imagined I would be selling carpets. I mean, really? No. But anyhow, by the grace of God, I opened my mind. A friend of mine, the couple that we've done business with in America all these years, because that's where our carpets come from, told me, when life hands you a lemon, make lemonade and drink. And it hurt in the beginning, but later it made sense. You either swim or sink. So I decided to swim. Thank God, our mother left us with people to hold on to. And my uncle and aunt, who were directly running the business, supported us, worked with us, walked with us. But in the process, I had to learn, what is the business actually about? I went into the depth of visiting factories to see how is a carpet made? What are the variations? I mean, I've been blessed to be really around the world. I can tell you everything about a carpet or furnishing in my sleep, literally. And I've also been blessed to work on quite a few big projects that I know I'm proud of, and my name will go down in history as, oh, she was part of this project or part of the other. Now, running a business that you did not begin. When my mother started this business, I don't think she had an idea she would not live long enough. She had dreams for her children, and she wanted things done in a certain way, like most people. So along the way, you come and you have your own ideas. By the time I went to America, we were hardly using computers. There was no internet. By the time I came back, there were computers, there was internet, there were mobile phones. Things had changed. As you know, today, everything is technology. Things change in a blink of an eye. Then you'd have to get on a plane to go to Georgia to make an order for carpets. Today, all you do is get on your computer, on your phone, and make the order. So things have changed over time. And what am I trying to say? One of the things that helps continue a business is the willingness of the originators, for example, in this case, my mother, to be able to embrace change. Change is the only constant in life. There is nothing else I can say beyond that. But when a child comes to a father who is running, say, a bakery, and says, no, you see, Daddy, our bakery is doing well, but we can do this. We can change the packaging. We can change the marketing style. If we use the right IT system or the right accounting system, then we can reduce our shortages. Our parents are supposed to be able to embrace change. Most reasons that family businesses don't go beyond one generation, especially in Uganda, is because the originators are not willing to change or to embrace change and agility. Once you can't do that, then it's the buck stops with you, as they say. Some of the things I have learned in this time are that you have to start involving the next generation when they're still young. By the way, it's not that all of them will be interested in your business. No. Honestly, I was thrown at it. It is, if the tables were turned, I highly doubt it's what I would be doing. So my situation is a bit different. But again, it comes down to the fact that she involved me from when I was a little girl. I started trotting around with my mother at about 14. I was like a handbag. When I was not in school, I was with her in the shop or with her on a journey. So I saw the way she would talk to the people where she would buy the goods and all this. She had many other businesses before, curtains and all that stuff. So involve the next generation when they are still young, not to force them, but for them to see what you do. Many parents today do business and their children have no clue what they go through. They just see food in the fridge, cars in the driveway, beautiful homes, games, but they don't know where they come from. And the parents are too busy to even have the time to explain. And this thing called internet and social media has made it even worse. So the children might not necessarily be interested, but either way, involve them. Let them make the choice later. My siblings, some do their own things. One is an engineer. I worked with two of the girls. One other boy, I think, preferred agriculture more than anything else. So you can see, but all of them at one point worked in that business with me. All of them. When they would finish school, they would spend some months until they find where they want to go, or years, and then go do it. Like, no, this carpet thing is not for me. Let me go do something else. So involve your children or whoever you want to take on when they're still young. Secondly, ours was always like a family unit. We were raised to respect people and to be humble. There are employees we've had for 34 years. I don't think many people can say that. 30 years, 28 years, 26 years. And these are part of family. I could not imagine them not being there. You know, the oldest of them was called Mr. Mugerwa. You see, I can't even call him without saying Mr. Mugerwa because he watched me grow up like a young kid. But these people protected us, gave us their all, and worked hard because the seed my mother planted was so solid that they could not let her down. And by the way, it's not about benefits and money that people earn. No. Maya Angelou says, people will forget what you did for them. They'll forget what you gave them, but they will never forget how you treat them. Treat people well, and they will reciprocate. There is no question about that. So that is one of the other things. Then you have got to create systems for your business to carry on. And this is where I come to the point where I say, bring in outsiders that are professionals. Bring in an accountant, bring in an auditor, bring in whoever you have to bring in depending on the system. But you cannot keep it only family members unless it's really, really small. But you need to get that outside view of what others think. And again, treat them like family, respect them, listen to them, know their families, make it a family. If it's like we said, it's a family business, then you don't have to be related to me to be family. My mother used to say, choose your friends wisely because that's the family you create for yourself. And I bet you she created one, and a big one too. Another point I learned is that you've got to respect people, but mostly respect them for the experience. Like the gentleman I told you who had worked with us for 34 years since the company opened. I tell you, that man has respect in this town when it comes to carpets because he's thorough. He knows, he's experienced. There's another one who has been there 30 years, 28 years. We lost a few along the way. But these men stood by us. Like I said, it's a man's world. A woman cannot lay carpet. You know, women, we can do many things, but I think I've not seen a woman lay carpet yet. But these people, once you respect them, respect the experience, ask for their advice, because Gloria doesn't know how to lay a carpet. My job was to be the entrepreneur, to buy, to find the money, to get the contracts. But I could never put my arm to even lift the carpet. One roll of carpet weighs about 400 kilograms. You need about 8 men to lift only one. So it is quite a heavy duty business that you would look at these men and say, oh, wow, this is incredible. But they would do it with a smile and with joy. And why? Because it was family. Secondly, treat every employee as a partner of the business, which is related to what I've said. Don't show them, you are abakozi, you are workers, we are the bosses. No, they know you're the boss. They know. But interact, talk to them, laugh with them, know about your children. When they come to the problem, I lost someone, go. Be humane, basically. It makes the work environment so much easier. Of course, our business, I will not compare so many, because it's not a business that you have sales every day. For example, a bakery or a food supermarket, or it's not, because, too much traffic. But even then, still, when they have issues, talk to them, sympathize, most importantly, empathize. I remember one time we had a big job to do in Entebbe, and I was asked to be a consultant on the job. And it took a year and 3 months. And the men I worked with, one of them was the late architect, Sentogo. I learned so much from this man that I will forever be grateful for having worked closely with him. He taught me what it is to run a business and remain humble and remain humane and remain a human being. Money has a way of confusing us and taking us off the path of what reality is. And what is reality to me? Discipline, integrity, love, fear of a higher power. I'm not going to go into which religion, and all those things. And those things will never change. Whether the internet comes, whether social media comes, those things remain. We did a good job. The principals were very happy. To this day, when I enter that house, I smile because my stamp is on it. I worked hard, but it paid off. It's not automatic that the next generation will even be interested in running your business, because today, especially, the few are able to take their children to schools abroad. It's easier now. So you take a child's school to Kenya, then from Kenya to London, and then you bring them back here to run a supermarket. I think it takes a lot of training for that to happen. Many will want to get an employment in a bank or in another institution because they've been away for so long that their mindsets have been changed by the world they have lived in as young adults and growing up. So it's not automatic, it's luck. Me, I was thrown in the deep end. If I went back to 1993 when my mother died, and which I did recently, to think about, if I had a choice and she was alive, is this what I would have been doing? Most probably not. Even when she sent me to such an expensive school, I don't think she thought I would come back to do this. Maybe in another way, but not directly this. But like I said, you deal with the hand you're dealt with. Family businesses, I have learned, and even over statistics, today I'm not going to give you many numbers, though I'm good at that, that they can sustain pressure, external pressures, more than the bigger companies. Why? Your decision-making is between your family, a few people. A bigger company needs a board to sit, needs a quarterly meeting, needs all these things. But family businesses will withstand pressures like natural disasters, economic ups and downs like we've been through with COVID, and things that are unseen, because the decision-making is limited to a very few people, sometimes even one or two. But the bigger companies, by the time the board sits and decides and all this, sometimes they crumble or suffer the hit harder because the decision process is longer. Values of a company. The question is, what does your company stand for? When they say, what is C&S? Why have they been in business for 34 years? Let me tell you, in those 34 years, I know over 20 carpet businesses that all opened, but none of them went beyond 2 years. They all shut down. Why? Like I said, it's a very slow business. The turnover is very slow. I mean, think about it. How often do you change the carpet in your house? One time a friend of mine said, but what is your problem? Your carpet has been in my house 10 years. Why do you bring good things? So the next time I would change it is after 10 years. I laughed. I said, so did you want me to bring you cheaper goods? So one of what we pride C&S on, or what we are known for, is good quality, good service, and keeping our word. If we tell you your carpets will be here in a month, it will be a month. If it's a delay, most probably it will not be our fault. It will be URA or some ship that has got a problem. So you have to have certain values that run your business and that you are known for. I kept having arguments along the way, along the years. No, people are coming in, they're bringing in much cheaper carpets. How are we going to compete? I said, mark the word cheaper. Cheaper does not work for us. It's not what we stand for. We stand for high quality. A carpet is a luxury good. It's not a necessity. In the Western world, like America, it's actually a building good because it's compulsory for most places. Falling down and all those things. In Uganda, it's not. A carpet here is a total luxury. So those who come for it want the best. If I want luxury, then I want something good, not something that will fade in 8 months or totally turn black. So I insisted we are not going down that road. We shall remain with our quality. Let the guys who want the cheap ones go, it's fine. Because with carpets, their cost is very high. The taxes on carpets are like taxes on a Mercedes Benz. So our biggest client, 90% was government, all these years. So with government, they know they have to buy good things, so they'll buy. Individuals, not that many, no, because they would find them too expensive. Again, the taxes were high. And things, you can imagine coming all the way from Georgia in America. I know it shocks people when I say our carpets came from America, because most people have this idea that carpets come from the Middle East or India or Asia. Now, the carpets we're selling, which are wall-to-wall carpets or boardroom carpets, Georgia in America makes 65% of the world's wall-to-wall carpet. The carpets that come from Persia and Iran and all these places are rugs. The small pieces or the big pieces that you put in the center tables, they have a culture where they sit on the floor to eat or to greet or to do all these things. Carpets in the Middle East and in countries like Morocco, Kashmir, and these places where I've been lucky to go, Turkey, carpets are handed over as rites of passage. They are left in wills for people. I've seen carpets that cost $1 million. I've seen carpets that cost $2 million because it is 110 years old. It is hand woven. It was made in 6 years. And the women that make them, their backs are even bent. You look at them and feel sorry. So for them, it's a way of life. If you enter an Arabic home, Middle East home, with your shoes and step on their carpets with your shoes, God have mercy on you. That's why you see the Muslims, they have to leave their shoes outside because they respect the floor. Every floor has to have a carpet. They respect that. It's honor for them. The way Indians pass on gold to their children and grandchildren is how these communities pass on carpets to their children and grandchildren. Someone says, oh, this carpet belonged to my great-grandfather. And they're so proud of it. And they hang it. Some of them are even framed today, if it's not so big, especially in Turkey. I saw things I had never seen. Morocco, is one of the best places where carpets are truly a part and a way of life. The way they sit on the floor to eat, to do everything. So shoes are taboo near their carpets. And indeed, shoes carry a lot of dirt. Even me, I get insulted if someone tried to enter my house. So with that in mind, carpet business is a different kind of business, though the values, the employee relations, the development, the business solutions apply across the board to all SMEs or all MMEs. And I have learned that, like I said, the only constant in life is change. If you don't change with the times, then the times will change you. Over those years, we went from very plush, thick carpets to thinner, to more affordable, to easier to clean. You know, as time changes, you have to change with the market demands. Unless, of course, a special client came in and said, oh, I want this woolen carpet for this, then you're like, okay, we'll get it. But as times changed, the customer requirements changed, and we changed with it accordingly. Hence, the longevity in the business. But sadly, when COVID hit and we're closed for 2 years, that was really tough. Closing a business for 2 years, you're paying rent. It's not easy. And then we have got this darling company called Uganda Revenue Authority. I'm sure all of you are smiling, those who are in business, that it will give you quite a headache. So again, now we're at the point of evolving. How do we do this? How do we transition from the ordinary? Because we don't have walk-in clients. We don't. It is all bid work. Anything in Uganda that is above 100 million for government or companies has to be bidded for. So how do we transition and still get people back into the mode of buying carpets? But as we all know, government is the biggest purchaser of everything in the country, apart from necessities. A carpet, like I said, is not a necessity. But what it takes to run the business of carpets is what it takes to run a supermarket, is what it takes to run a dress shop. It's what it takes to run everything. But once you have resilience in whoever is leading the company and agility, and you continue to learn on and get training on the new things, like what Enterprise Uganda does, what business development solution companies do, you will continue to excel and you will continue to succeed. COVID is a one-off in, I think, 100 years. So all of us are still trying to find our footing of where we are. Professionalize your structures as much as you can. But when you decide that you want it to be a family business, then empower the next generation. When I went to America in 1992, in 1993, the Pope came to visit Uganda. I think it was February. And my mother gave Rubaga Cathedral a gift of carpeting the altar and the aisle. And I was in America, and she sent me to Atlanta to the factory and said, we need these carpets, we need them quickly. The Pope is coming to visit and I'm giving it as a gift. So I went from Texas to Atlanta to do this. So I was being empowered to make the choice and to do this. So if she had lived longer, maybe she would have empowered me more. I don't know. That we'll never know. But again, SMEs and MMEs are very important because 19% of them, according to statistics of, I think, 2019, bring in 40% of the GDP, but employ about 80% of the population. Because MMEs and SMEs are all kinds of business, from Rolex to chapati to name it, they're all SMEs. So they contribute a lot to the GDP. So we have got to make them better, to make them work better, to employ more people. With a young population, 72% being below the age of 30, and half of that being below 18, it scares and worries me a lot. Because where are these kids going to get jobs? How are they going to survive? So we have to empower them by changing their mindsets. Change your mindset. Change them, your children, your friends, your colleagues, that just because you have a degree or two doesn't mean you have to have a white-collar job. You can start small with something little. I have a friend I met recently who started with 4 stands of Rolex stands after Chogam. Today he has 20. He earns 800,000 a day from all of them. In a month, I don't think there are many people who earn that kind of money. We just have to be innovative and get the airs off our heads, as they say. What is wrong with a degree holder being a restaurant waitress in a good place if they don't have a job yet? What's wrong with them being an Uber driver if they don't have a job yet? If you don't have a job, let's talk to these young people to change the mindset that just because I went to school doesn't mean I cannot do blue-collar jobs. No. The white collar, if you want it, one day may come, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe you are meant to grow in that field. So I talk to my friends and I say, show them what you're doing, but talk to them. Change mindsets. If we don't change mindsets of our young people, we are actually in trouble. Because there's this get-rich-quick mentality of our young graduates. I get out of law school today and I want a Benz in 2 years. How? If you don't cheat, you know? And that's not sustainable. Hard work has become a thing of the past. People want things yesterday. It can't work like that, and it's not sustainable. So back to the family business. We can run these businesses. We've seen Indians run businesses for 5 generations. We've seen Turkish people run businesses. There's a place in Istanbul called the Grand Bazaar. It's, I think, the biggest bazaar in the world. In there are businesses of 400 and 500 years. It's unbelievable. Small businesses, a leather business, a handbag business, a spice business, but it's gone through all those things and has stood the test of time. So we can do this. We can do this together. There are many organizations that I'm coming to learn that give us the services, but we don't even know they exist. So I would appeal to these organizations maybe to speak out more, to have such talks more, even on radio, on TV, so that people know there is Enterprise Uganda. You can get advice about your business. There's Private Sector Foundation. You can get some money for your business. There are all these other different organizations that we don't know about. Even me, who has been in business this long, and I would call it a luxury business that we know. There's so many things I didn't know. So one of the things we always have to be as SMEs and MMEs and all businesses is we have to be aware of what is around us. What does the customer want? How are trends changing? And how do we keep up with them? Secondly, we have to be prepared for what will come. Tomorrow, the budget will be read and they'll have added a 10% tax on your good. What do you do? Those are the kind of things that we have to be prepared. Another bit I saw is that many of the older people who start the businesses especially are unwilling to change their mindsets, unwilling to change the way they do things. No, you see, when I started my shop, we used to open at 7 and people would start coming in, and these are the ledgers we would use, and sometimes we'd just do our little contracts on little papers and file them. No, embrace the technology, embrace this, embrace that. So the older ones, I now count myself one of the older ones, embrace change. Be willing to listen and learn, because these young people, oh my God, some of them are so gifted. They have ideas that are out of the roof. And I enjoy listening to them speak, because someone says, no, my love is football. And I am going to I'm going to have a football team and I'll take it places. And you're thinking, huh? An individual? You're 24. And the boy goes on and does it. So, first of all, it's very important that much as we say family businesses, we are still individuals. Just because I was born in a family with carpets doesn't mean I have to love it or to do it. No. But most people, you have an option to get out and find your purpose. I did not have that option for very many years. But later, I was on a few boards. I've been on a board of Chamber of Commerce, of MTAC, of Child Empowerment, that one is based in the USA, of different boards. And I've learned so much. During my tenure of 6 years on the Chamber of Commerce, I was lucky to travel the world and give speeches on different things. One time, I had to give a speech in Istanbul about the role of women in developing economies. And as an economist, I went and wrote 4 pages of economics. When I get there, it was not to give a speech, it was a roundtable discussion. I said, okay, God help me. The 4 ladies who were on the panel with me, one was from Philippines, another Brazil, another Senegal, the host, and me. I kept my papers and we started the discussion. They all had PhDs in something. I spoke from the heart. I tell you, the generation that was listening that night all wanted to talk to me. I was on their TV, not understanding their language in their papers, because they could relate to what I was talking about. Academics is academics. If I was here to preach to you about economics, go and read an economics book, go and read an accounting book, go and read a documentary, Harvard Business Law, read anything. But I'm here to give my story. And I know in my story, different people will pick different items and different stages where they are and do better, I hope. I believe from the youngest age, build a program for your children. Say your children are 8 and 10. Tell them today is go to work with Daddy Day. Go with them. Let them see what you do. If you're a lawyer, let them see how the office is set up, how people make appointments, how you dress to work, how you treat people, how you entertain, how you greet them, how you escort them out. Those simple things stay with kids and they never go from them. So there are many ways we can do this. Let it be a conversation at home, a normal conversation. Oh, by the way, today in the shop, this happened, we got this customer, or we are trying to work on this bid. Let's hope we get it. Involve them in that conversation. As they tell you how their day was, tell them how your day was. Don't protect them from the harsh. Yes, give it to them in small bits, not scare them from coming into the business, but be honest about it. You will be amazed how many kids are lost today because they don't know, should I join the family business? Should I do my own thing? What should I do? Because we the parents, never spoke about it. They just saw things coming, money coming, books being paid, fees being paid, but I don't even know what you do. I've never even stepped in your office. If I come to your office, I've come for pocket money and I run out. I don't even know your secretary's name. So let's put values, humanity, integrity, professionalism in however small this business is. And in these hard times of COVID, I am not an actuarial scientist to predict that this trend will end in 5 or 6 years, but it's not going to be easy to recover. Let me give you a short synopsis of the travel business. I opened it in 2006 with my then husband. And honestly, I opened it just because I used to travel so much. And I said, maybe once in a while the airline might give me some free tickets. We opened it. By the grace of God, 2 years later, we landed the largest account in Kampala. And we did this for 8 years. It did well. Sadly, along the way, we lost a lot in an investment, but these things happen. Failure does not mean the end. Instead, it means get up, brush yourself, and move up. Now we have resumed, and we recently got a concession to run the Kidepo Banders. That is the hotel that was owned by government in the Kidepo National Park. If any of you has not been to Kidepo, guys, you've not seen how beautiful Uganda is. I'm a proud Muchiganda. I used to think Kabale is the most beautiful place on earth. But I went to Kidepo and I was pleasantly surprised. It's such a beautiful park. There is no animal that is not there. So I'm going deep into tourism. Like I said, things evolve. And I love tourism. I've learned so much about Uganda. I've traveled a lot about Uganda. I've seen what Uganda has to offer. And my God, are we blessed. I mean, you throw fene seeds and the next day a tree grows. You throw beans and the next day they germinate. Where else in the world can you do that? But if we come together as friends, especially, the other part I need to tell you is gone are the days of sole proprietorships. We have got to work as teams if we are going to succeed. If I have 1 million, Ronald has 1 million, Rosemary has 1 million, another one has 1 million, that's 4 million. You can do much more than the 1 million I had. So we have got to learn. The circle mentality, I know, started there, though that was mainly for saving. But even for work, we have to come together to say, guys, we think alike. Why don't we give this a shot? Someone, each one brings 10 million. That's 100 million from 10 people. When you, as an individual, would you have got 100 million? That is how the West, the Middle East and the Asians beat us. They work together. That is how we shall grow, employ our young people, and also give them platforms to move on. As family, if you come together, you have a family maybe of 30 people, aunties, uncles, relatives. Imagine everybody brought 3 million. How much would that be? And what can you do? So I really encourage that we come together, we work together, because Uganda is for us and it's for our children. No one will be here forever, sadly, but let's leave a legacy. Let's leave a name behind. My mother's been dead 30 years, but I still meet people today who say, oh, your sister's daughter, oh, wow, she did this, or she did that, or she did the other. She died very young, she was 42. But her impact has lasted for eons. So why can't each of us make sure that our children will continue to talk about us and be blessed by the goodwill that we'll have sown? There is a book by Robin Sharma called Leaders Without Titles. And he says, whichever job you're doing, whether you're a janitor, whether you are a car cleaner, whether you are a seller, a teller in a bank, whatever you're doing, do it as a leader. Do it with pride. Do it with joy. And whatever it is you do that well, I am telling you, you will be noticed and you will grow at it. We cannot look down at everything. A lawyer needs a banker, needs a doctor, needs a cleaner, needs a driver, needs a nurse. We all need one another. So if we learn to work and respect each other and bring teams together, I believe the sky is the roof or the beginning, because there is so much to do in this country, so much. But because the foreigners have seen it and we haven't, and one of the reasons we don't see it is because we have food. When you're not hungry, you don't think very much. We have a saying in my language where a certain tribe of people, after they eat, they burn the silos because they think they want to be hungry again. No, that is not true. We have to work together. That's the new way of going. That's the new life we are in. And in 10 years, maybe it will be different. AI has come in and maybe machines will take over. Who knows? But still, people have to survive. People have to survive. So this is a family business talk, but I felt I have to bring in other angles about our country, our lovely Uganda, and what each of us can contribute. Everybody can contribute something. Finally, I want to encourage and to pray that each one of us finds our purpose. It's the best thing in life to find your purpose, but it's even more beautiful to earn from your purpose. When you find that I was meant to be a doctor, you never have to work a day in your life. Because every day you wake up saying, oh my God, I can't wait to see these patients. I can't wait to do this. If you find your purpose was in banking, oh, you will work full time and you'll never get tired. So let's all endeavor to find our purpose in life. The Japanese have got this right. And they live to 100 and beyond because of three things. They work, they enjoy their work, they live well. When I say live well, I don't mean rich. I mean they eat well. They look after themselves. They have principles that guide them. Integrity, time. My goodness, timekeeping is something that is so important for growth personally and as a nation. The time we waste is unbelievable and time can never be got back. So let's learn to keep time. Let's learn to respect time, especially other people's time. If you make an appointment with someone at midday, please be there at 5 to midday. Don't come in at 1 smiling. No, it's really not nice. If you got a problem along the way, okay. But no, it's just a trend. I have friends who you hear say, oh, the party begins at 2. I'll get there at 4. Really? No, we waste time. You make the function go on longer. You're there for 8 hours. Couldn't you have been doing something more productive? So let's learn to appreciate and keep time. It's very crucial. I could go on and on. Ronald, I think my time is up, isn't it?
Wow. Thanks a lot, Gloria, for those insights. I guess we have a bit of time to just engage with the audience a bit.
Yes.
A number of takeaways have been trying to note them down here. I picked that message about respecting your staff, and it's a powerful one. I think the
Thank you.
moment we don't understand as entrepreneurs that at the center of our business are the people who are at the front line. If you treat them well, if you don't treat them well, they won't treat your customers well. That was a key message. You highlighted the importance of good quality, good service, and keeping your word. I think the last bit which you talked about just timekeeping. I mean, the idea of how important it is to keep your promise, because when you promise, I also promise someone else. Yeah, and I mean, and then the idea that the ups and downs, you are winning at one time and then you're losing at another, but the ability to pick yourself up and be able to move is one of those important ideas. Great. So we have a moment to just ask a couple of questions. If you have a question, please put up your hand. I've seen a couple of them in the chat box, and I will share them with Gloria, and we'll try to take a couple of rounds and see how much time we have. Yes. So a lot of feedback coming through. Judy says yes. I think Judy's takeaway is involve your children and let them make their choices later. So give them a chance, let them understand. And if they choose otherwise, that's okay. But at least you shared with them. Yeah, I think there's a question here of what's your experience dealing with government as your biggest customer? I know that that sometimes there are a number of challenges doing business with government brings. So you could touch on that and how businesses can be able to maneuver that. There is another question here of many small businesses that have tried have burnt their fingers as their working capital is tied up with delayed payments. And that's in line with dealing with government.
Yeah. That's a very good question, because that's what I have lived through for the last 28 years or so. Dealing with government is very difficult. But like I said, they're the consumers, the largest of everything. They can take your goods, especially goods like ours, which are not perishable, and not pay you for a year. So when you're using bank money, God have mercy on you. So many businesses have imploded because of dealing with government. Right now, our domestic bill is at 6 trillion. That's what they owe the domestic people. 6 trillion is a very good percentage of our GDP this year of 52 trillion. Now, if they paid that 6 trillion and it trickled down back to people, this economy would start to grow. So what happens with government? They are pushed to the wall. They need the services. And guess what? If something is supposed to cost 10,000 shillings, you'll have to charge them 30 or 35,000 shillings for obvious reasons. One, you will not be paid on time. You have a bank loan to deal with. And then, of course, the corruption element. So dealing with government is really difficult. I mean, I can't emphasize enough. But like I said, by the grace of God, we did it all these years. Some things are actually a bit scary that I cannot even say on this forum, but it is tough, and I think it's getting tougher because truly government has no money. So that is why we have to find plan B. If you're now supplying to government, what else can you do that does not require you to deal directly with government? I know people who do roads, who do construction. Those are the bigger companies, but they don't get paid for months and months and months. I have a friend who has not been paid for 10 years. Their bill is 10 billion. They had to pay the bank. So can you do the math and see? So we have problems. In those 10 years, the officers have changed maybe twice. So dealing with government, you have to be really careful, really, really careful, because honestly, it's luck. I am going to say this on air. I don't know how it will go, but sometimes you only need to deal with the organizations where you know one or two people that can help you push your papers. But just you bidding for a job, winning it and thinking through the line it's going to come through, somehow I don't agree. I don't think it will work, especially after COVID. COVID has brought so many businesses to a close that it is unbelievable. But government needs these goods, and they're the ones with the money. So you have to wait. If you're lucky to have the money to put in, fine, and wait. But if you have to borrow and go and do this work, knowing very well that you're not sure that you know someone who will help you get paid, then go slow, because it could be a problem. And many people have fallen into that trap and are still into that trap. And I don't know when that is going to end, because they consume every day they consume. And once Gloria cannot supply anymore, they go to Ronald. Once Ronald cannot supply anymore, they go to Susan. Once Susan cannot supply, they keep going. But we all end up in the same trap. So that has been my experience. It has been tough. That has been the toughest part of dealing with government. But again, like I said, if you're lucky and you know a few people, Uganda is not big. We know, you know people in different places, then go ahead. But going in blindly because you saw an advert in the papers and because you think you have a good product, yes, you might win even that bid. Put in your money, but God help you when you will be paid, because that is a problem. So that's why I say we need to consider other ways to earn. And because of the 72% population that I talked about, we have to find ways of doing businesses that these 72% can consume from directly without you having to go and deliver these goods and services to government. Because unless they are the big boys, of course, who have the money to do that, yes, let them do that. But SMEs and MMEs, you have to go slow because you'll close and they don't care. Honestly, you will close. You saw how many big businesses have closed. Banks are suffering because loans cannot be paid back. So it's a trickle-down effect. You know, if a bank has a bad debt book, which is a third of its capital, then that's a problem. They will not lend money anymore. So you will not have the opportunity to even do the business you want to do because you have nowhere to get the money. So that's why I say, let's come together and sit on the tables and say, guys, what do we do? You see, problems are what cause innovation. The world in the West is developed, or in the East, because their winters are so bad. If they didn't stop and develop heaters or warm clothing, they would die. Or in the heat, if they didn't have AC, they would die. So you have to think out of the box at this point and say, okay, this has been my business for 34 years, but I don't see us going very far with it. What now can I revert to? So these are some of the things I think we can do. Come together, think and say, guys, why can't we do this? Why can't we help get these young 20 boys? Why can't they have 20 Rolex stands? Everybody needs to eat every night. Where I live, I drive through Tintal every day. And one time I was in a jam and I looked on the side and ladies were cooking food. Big saucepan. In the same saucepan, there was matoke, there were Irish potatoes, there were cassava, and there were 4 things. And then they would put onions and tomatoes on top and close. So my driver says, Madam, she said it in Uganda, but I say it in English because my Uganda is not the best, said, this is how most people survive. As they are going home, they will pay either 3,000, 4,000, or 5 if it has meat. That's how most people survive. When he says most, we are talking about the 72% and below. A Rolex is a meal. Tea and bread is a meal for a home. So we have to come down and say, what do these people need? How can we get it closer to them? Cheaper? That is the only way, by working together. Because our interest rates in the banks are very high. If you're going to pay 20%, what are you going to charge for your businesses? If you walk around Kampala today, after COVID, how many arcades are empty? Because everybody had to close and go online. Today, I think the younger generation only shops online. I still haven't got that right. I don't know how to do it, unless it's a gadget or a pen or a book. But clothes and things, but they buy everything online. Why? Because the businesses had to shut shop. Other businesses have become mobile. I know photographers who have mobile vans and go to weddings with their mobile vans, and the Bagole come and sit and the guests in the van take pictures or go in the garden. People have become innovative. Guys, let's get innovative. Let's have more of these conversations. I hope I have answered those questions.
Wow. Thanks a lot. I see a hand from Martin. Martin, I'll give you an opportunity in a moment. Susan says, thank you, Gloria, for sharing your story. And thanks, Enterprise Uganda and the team here for that. The question, Susan's question is, what advice do you give to parents to start involving the next generation and to accept the ideas of the next generation? I think you touched on this, but Possibly
Yes.
you'll touch on that as you respond, Gloria. I'll ask a couple and then you'll answer them once.
Okay.
There's another question here from Rosemary. How do you deal with your siblings in the business, especially issues of sibling rivalry? How do you deal with that within the business? Yes, Veronica says, thank you, my sister, for highlighting the next generation, the need to empower the next generation. Great. A take home here, be open-minded and willing to learn and willing to change. That's from Rosemary. Edwin says, involving children in what you do, this is a call to civil servants and the employed. How do you achieve it if you don't start a business? I think Edwin is asking a question here, but also making a comment at the same time. There are people who are possibly saying, you know what, I want to involve my children, but I'm employed full time. What should I do? How do I teach these skills to my children? I know they're important, but how do I teach them those skills? Chirizostom says, thank you. Edwin's takeaway is gone are the days of a sole proprietor. Henry says, thank you. Yes, I think if I'm employed in government, I'll possibly just now allow Martin, please go ahead. I've asked you to unmute. Just go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Martin.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, we can, Martin.
Thank you very much for that great presentation. I've really learned a lot from you. You are really a great mother.
Thank you.
So my question is, there are like 3.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
You are really a great mother. 3 questions. So which key lessons did you learn from your parents, mostly your mother, about life and business? You've got?
Okay.
Hello.
That's one question. Yes,
Then
that's
the
one
second question.
Mm.
Second question. What keeps your flame burning on a daily business life? Daily business life. What keeps your flame burning? Number 3.
Yeah.
How can one, in simple explanation, if you can explain in simple terms, how can one find life purpose? Simply.
Okay.
You get?
Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you for being a great mother. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. I really appreciate that because I believe in my accomplishments. That's my top. I have 2 sons of my own, and I feel that's my world. And I think many parents share that. But from your questions, what did I learn from my mother? On the 26th of July, it was 30 years since she went to be with the Lord. And every year that the 26th of July comes around, and every day I walk with her in my heart because she was my first best friend. I am fairly older than my siblings. Our gap is 3 years, 3 years, 4 years, 3 years. So you find that I'm 13 years older than our last born. Basically, I'm a mother, to them as well. But what she taught me, mainly, number 1, was the fear of the Lord. That the reason I don't want to go deep into religion is because everyone has different beliefs, but the fear of a higher power. I never met anybody who respected God and adored God like my mother. That was her driving force. Number 2, she was reliable. Her word was her word. I meet men today in the 70s who say, your mother did this, she was amazing. Your mother did this, she was amazing. Big, serious people, And I'm thinking, wow, she was kind. My goodness. I'm going to say it in English. I think she could remove her shirt and give it to you and remain without hers because she was that kind. Then she loved to teach younger people, to talk to younger people, her younger siblings, younger relatives, to advise them. And she loved to unite. So you would find that her business had all her siblings working with her and their wives. She loved to unite family. That's who she was. But most importantly, God gave her a gift of wisdom. And whatever idea she touched, like I said, turned to gold. She did a lot. Some things I find out later. That, hey, by the way, your mother at some point traded in gold. What? When? How? You know, because we're young. So some of the lessons I learned were keep your word, have integrity, be disciplined. But most importantly, don't think you're better than anybody. She used to tell me, you're not better than the next and the next. And on Fridays, all these lame people in Kampala would come to her shop for payday. It was automatic. There's one who used to stand at Ginger Road lights called Kakoza on one stick. That guy even came to know me. Even when I came back, he would come to see me, you know, to pass on to you and pass that even on to you. Kindness, she would say, we are the same. God just gave some people more material things than others. And in giving them to you, he gave them to you for a purpose. The greatest people on earth are not remembered for their wealth. They are remembered for what they did. Martin Luther King says the measure of greatness of a man is seen in his service to others. I could not agree more. Mother Teresa didn't have a coin. She's one of the most remembered people on earth and for generations to come. So today, we are not really discussing how do we make so much money. Yes, we do. But in what way are we making the money? Are we selling our souls to make the money? Or are we doing it the right way? But now your next question, once you find your life's purpose, like I believe I'm meant to be a mentor and a leader, a counselor of sorts. I believe that's what my purpose is. Now, whether it will give me money in the future, I don't know. But also to sell this nation, I feel that's my life's purpose. I love to talk about Uganda. We could go all day. So I think I've found my purpose. And at 50, I found it maybe 5 years ago, 6. And through again, those talks I used to go around the world giving. The joy I would get from these kids coming and asking me questions, going to Makerere School of Technology or Sociology to talk to them, and they are so encouraged. For me, I believe, wow, I have made a difference. Keeping the flame burning, that is the family running. How do you do it, or how did I do it? With the same principles I've told you. Be kind, but most importantly, whoever office you walk in, leave a mark, let them remember you. I had a PA for about 7 years, and I told him, I'm employing you, but wherever I send you, whatever you go to do, let them remember you. Live either the way you greet, the way you say goodbye, the way you hand over the document, let them remember you. That when X meets you somewhere, they'll say, oh, that is Gloria's PA, even if they don't remember the name. Leave a mark wherever you go. I am quite vertically challenged. I'm being polite. But trust me, wherever I go, you will remember me. Because something, somehow, that I will say, you will remember. So wherever you go, leave a mark. Don't just go and be washed out in the crowd. No, 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 no. Leave a mark. Say something. However small, you will be remembered. When I was in senior 5, going to senior 6, I was in Abisunsa. And we had an economics, they called the economics classes of Budo, Kisubi, Namagunga, Gayaza, and Abisunsa at Lugogo Indoor Stadium. And the president was coming to address us. And he talked, he actually was with the first lady, and talked about economics and, you know, he's a teacher, really. If you ask me one word to describe him, he's a teacher. And he asked a question. And my teacher was seated like 5 girls away from me. Guess what? I was like a full stop. I put up my hand and he picked me and he asked me, what is your name? I said, Gloria. He said, no, that is not a name. what is your name? I said, Triamreva. I said, hey, how are you? So he had asked a question and I answered. From that day, he has never forgotten. So like I said, leave a mark wherever you go. Don't just come through like the wind. No, 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 no. So I hope, Martin, I have answered you.
Yes, I think,
Hello?
Gloria, there was one other question from the chats on...
Yeah, those I'm coming to them. I
Okay,
finished
super.
Martin, I hope. So
Good,
there
good.
was one about sibling rivalry. How have I had it, or how have I dealt with it? In families, a family that doesn't have fights, I don't think is a real family. You will have disagreements, but ours was unique in that I was like their mother and father at the same time. So they had very high regard for me and very high respect. And I really appreciated that. What I told them, most times they did. They were very prayerful kids. And Ronald, you know, some of them. But that doesn't mean you don't argue at some point. We did, especially in the latter years when we got a few financial hiccups. Yes, we argued, we did. But that's what family does. And I believe I did my best. I mean, they're all married with families, except one. And they're all going on about their business. But the rivalry will be there. There's no question. Someone will say, oh, why her? Why is she the heir, but I'm the boy? Why, you know, all those kind of things. But no, I think in general, they were good kids. They listened and I gave it my all. While my friends would be going out, me, I would be going to visit one on a Sunday, one on a Saturday, because I became a mother so young. But I was grateful and gifted to have my parents' friends hold my arm and show me the ropes. So for most of my life, my friends are all 75 and above. Those are who I would call my true buddies, because they're the ones I would spend time with to learn on how to deal with all this that I had taken on at a very young age. That's one. The second one was, I think, improving. Remind me, Ronald.
I think you have touched on the one of the siblings. There was
Yes.
a quick one on I'm a government employee. I don't have a business, but I want to teach these skills.
Now, for the government employees or even employees of other organizations, I mean, as long as you're an employee, how do you teach your children these skills? Number one, these principles of integrity, discipline, humility apply to humanity across the board. Whether you are a CEO, whether you are running a shop in X, they apply. So as long as you talk to your children about what you do, if you're working in Ministry of Gender, on which desk, what are you doing? If you're working in UA as a ranger, what do rangers do? What do you get what I mean? Tell them what you do, and you will be amazed how out of what you do, they will either want to be it or want to use it to do business with it. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Because you might be a lawyer in a big firm. You're just an employee of this law firm. Take them in a day. Let them see how the law firm operates. Let them see how these lawyers work. Maybe it will inspire him to be a lawyer and then open his law firm. That's still a business. So wherever you are, whatever work you're doing, you can still inspire them. But by being open and giving them the tools that are important in life, that cut across the board. Fear of a higher power, discipline, integrity, humility, Ubuntu, as they say. Do unto others as you'd like to be done unto you. Once those are taught, I can tell you, they will turn out and find their purposes in life. And not everybody is meant to be a business person. No, not at all. Like I told you earlier, leaders without titles, just do the best wherever you are. There is a friend's law firm I know, and they have, I don't know what to call him, an office messenger or something like that. He's been in that law firm for 25 years. Nobody does not know this guy. He is, once he's not there, there's something missing in that office. He's the one who smiles, who asks about the children of this one. Who I just enjoy when I go there to talk to him. But he's happy. He found his purpose. He's earning. He has raised a family. 2 of his kids are graduates, you know? So you don't have to all be up there or running the business. No, you can still make it where you are. But whatever it is, talk to your children, give them these principles. They will guide them through life. Because like I said, none of us is mortal. None. One day we shall exit. But if you're lucky to still be here and still be able to talk to them, then please do. There are days I wish that my mother would have seen certain milestones in my life. The day I graduated, the day I got married, the day I got my first child. Many milestones. The day I was put on this board, the day I did this, the day I did this. But she wasn't. But that's okay too. She ran her race and she completed well. Our wish in life should be, will I complete well? When I'm gone, will I have a legacy? Will they remember me? Even if you remember me that Gloria, oh, the one who used to laugh so much, that's good enough. If you remember me, oh, Gloria, the one who knew everyone from my children say, Mama, you can't greet everybody everywhere we go. I said, no, they are people. You have to greet them, the gate man, the waiter, everybody by name. And if I don't know your name, I'll ask you for your name. Because when you do that, you show respect to this other human being. And you'll be amazed the change in attitude that it brings. I'm sure you've been, let's say you're entering a gate and there are security men at the gate. The minute you read his name and you say, hey, how are you? And you say the name, immediately, if he was going to be Kali, he will come down. You wonder, does she know me? Does she? And yet, honestly, you're just being a muntu and having Ubuntu. So I hope that answers that.
Wow. Thanks a lot. We have just about 5 minutes to wrap up. I see a couple of comments here. Harriet says company values and what you stand for is so key for the whole family to understand and agree. Great. And Harriet agrees we should get innovative ideas from the younger generation. There's a question here which Gloria requests that you answer. From Martha, I have a business and my parents are stuck on me getting a job. They don't see value in my business. Some advice. Do you have any advice? That's from Martha. And Birunji asks, thank you. How do you have a smooth transition from one generation to the next, especially when changes need to be made? I think this question is, Birunji is asking, how do we actually cross over? I think there is always that tension with possibly the business founder holding onto it and not wanting to release it, but yet they need to. You will possibly touch on that, Gloria. Harriet says reliability and unity, big attributes. That's one of her key messages that she has picked. James says hello, shares his contact and say thank you for the session and very inspiring. Martin, very inspiring. Yes. Veronica. Yes. A lot of thank yous coming through with the chats. Gloria, I think you can answer those 2 questions and also share with us your closing remarks as we wrap up the session.
All right. Thank you so much, all of you who have turned in and who have appreciated. I really do appreciate too. Now, how do you cross over from generation to generation? Like I said, it's a process. It's not a snap in the finger. It takes time. Like You begin to talk, you begin to show them, you begin to read them. Are they really interested or not? When I ask them to come in their vacation to work, do they actually sit here for 4 hours or for 3 hours they're on the phone and outside? So you begin to see the transition. Now, one thing I learned from my Indian friends, one of them told me that the reason we Indians work together is because of their culture. When a man marries, he moves into his father's home with his wife. Every night they're on the dinner table together. When they have a child, and that child has a wife years later, also moves in with the father and parents. That's how their businesses keep growing. It's not just we work together, I live in Chanja, I live in Buzira, no. For them, it's intentional. They live together, they talk together, they come together. That is one option. But for Ugandans, of course, that is not easy. But the transitioning, again, it is slow, but you have to intentionally want it. Many of our parents, I don't think even ever thought of saying, I'll pass this business on to my children. No, many of them just did business to survive. In the process, some were lucky, the businesses grew big. But like I said, with many, not many, a few people whose children have all gone to study abroad, and you bring them back, and you think that after 14 years abroad, this child is coming to run a supermarket. I think you're a bit mistaken, because they have been opened up to new worlds, to new ideas. So that becomes a bit of a problem. But for me, I still insist on work with them, work with them, take them in, talk, talk, talk. Don't tire. Talk. Trust me, they are listening. My boys, they know everything. I will come and sit with them and say, by the way, we have applied for Kidepo. This is where we are. We've done this. This is where we are. I talk. Now, one of them wants to be a doctor. But he will still know that in that medicine he's going to do, maybe at some point, because of the values I've planted, you'll have his own clinic. That is a business. So they don't have to do exactly what you're doing, but give them the basics and don't get tired of talking. Talk, 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 and the rest will fall in place. So, Ronald, what was the last one?
Good. Yes, I think the last one was just a comment on that transition process. How can we do it right? I think, especially when there is a pulling back of the people supposed to transition, not wanting to let go. And then you can give us some final remarks.
That one, many people, like my parents' age, for example, who I have seen with businesses, and they hold on and they don't want to let go. Some of them, you really can't do much. They will involve you. You'll be a signatory. You'll even be made a manager, but still you have to consult them. You get what I mean? Now, that transition of them having to let go for some is difficult, but some have done it. Some have said, you know what? Here's my business. I did this. You've run it for 5 years. I'm off to my cows. Goodbye. So it is dependent on the individual. Some people like to hold on to things. Others don't. So it's just that you young people, or whoever is listening, if you have children old enough and you have businesses, involve them and start telling them, by the way, in this number of years, I want to retire. Are you going to be ready? This is, and don't tell them, are you going to be ready? But I want you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, we are all individuals. We all do things different ways. For you, your marketing strategy could have been walking through the door. My marketing strategy could be online. You get what I mean? Because like I said, change is the only constant. So we have to change with the times. We have to always remember that, but never to walk away from the values, the principles that make us human beings. Whether I am Bill Gates, whether I am the one selling tomatoes, at the end of the day, we all breathe, have red blood, and one day we'll be gone. The question is the in-between, what will you be remembered for? We had a driver, he was called Charles, he used to drive my mom. And this man was so clean. I think he had some little bit of OCD. So he would clean my mother's cars. And one time my mother said, but Aunt, my car's going to bleed. This is too much. Everywhere they stop, he comes out with his white towel and starts to clean. But he's remembered to this day. I ended up educating his son, who is doing well now, because of being thankful for what his father had done for us. So for me, I believe once you have a combination of everything I've said, transition will come. Now, the bad transition is like mine, which just boom, you're thrown in there. That is very complicated because in 1,000 years, I never thought I would be dealing in carpets and furnishing. But guess what? I intentionally made a decision to like what I was doing, to learn what I was doing. That is how I managed. So if you're thrown in that deep end, learn to like what it is. It may not have been your wish, but learn to like it for survival. Then the rest will come and follow. You will find your purpose. Most purposes for most people actually don't earn you money, but they make you happy, which is important for the soul. You must have that part in you, the soul that no one can touch or hurt or ruin, that keeps you going. That's very important in life. And of course, your mindset has to be on the right track. And that's why our children have to be taught from a young age about certain things so that they grow up with a mindset of hard work, a mindset of humility, a mindset of discipline, a mindset of respect. Once they have those, I tell you, there is no way they are going to fail in life. My final remarks are that thank you so much for listening. I hope we shall have more of this. I enjoy talking to people. Like I said, I think I finally found my purpose. And let's keep these conversations going. Let's have more questions. Let's talk. There are many, many things to talk about. There are many lessons I've learned in these 50 years. I've been working, as I told you, I was 19, I'm now 50. So do the math. It's been a while, but I could not change anything. I could not turn back the clock and change anything because everything has been a lesson and I have appreciated it. The highs, the lows, and everything in between. Life is not a straight line. If you fall 8 times, stand up 9. That's what they call success. A friend of my mother, the last one, asked me a few years ago that defines success. So I said, I think success is when you reach a point where you can uplift other people and you're happy with what you're doing. He said, yes, I agree. But success is usually seen when you're gone. And that thing stuck in my mind. He said, for example, my mother was called Cisse. Said, for example, Cisse succeeded because she left you and your siblings and what you're doing. It is yet to be seen whether you have been successful. He's a very rich man in this town with 4 kids, but I am not going to go into details because really they have not done that much. So he said, it will be seen whether I have been. But my father was successful because I have made him proud. So all of you, let's leave a legacy and let's be successful. And let's tell people what we feel about them when they are still alive. Please, don't come to my eulogy and start saying, Gloria was nice, she used to smile. I will come back and bite you. Let's tell people when they are still alive, you are smart, you are beautiful, you are kind, you're this, you're that. After that, it doesn't matter. Lastly, learn to live in gratitude for whatever it is. Gratitude for the sun, gratitude for a new day, gratitude your children are well, gratitude you're healthy. How many people lost their lives in COVID? Gratitude for the smallest thing. I've been writing a gratitude journal for the last 13 years. And every year when I go back to read through it, tears run down my eyes because of what I have been through in that year that I've forgotten, but also what God has helped me go through. So live in gratitude. Once you live in gratitude, trust me, you will never get angry. No one can get to that core part of your soul to bring noise around you, even when you're going through the hardest storm. And God, the storms are many. In marriage, in friendship, in business, in office, everywhere. It's called life. But you know what? In life, we can still play the game as long as we have the right values. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. Thank you, Ronald, for being a fantastic host. And may God richly bless all of you. And I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Super, super, super. Thanks a lot, Gloria, for sharing your heart with us. It's been a very warm morning. A big thank you for the nuggets that you have given us. There have been many, and I believe each and every one of us has walked away with something. A big thank you to the entire team which joins us every Thursday at 9 o'clock. We'll be back next Thursday. But let's go and pick a piece of this wisdom and say, this I can apply in my business. This I can apply with my children. This I can apply with my siblings. Our path will never be the same, but as we watch other people do life, we learn a thing or two that can enable us to do life better. So today, Gloria has shared with us her journey, which is over 30 years, and that journey possibly will help you do life better as an individual. A big thank you to everyone, and have a blessed week. We'll be back next week, and all the best in your businesses. Keep pushing, keep winning. We believe that you are at the front line of transforming the nation. All the best and stay blessed.
Thank you, Ronald. Take care, everybody. And it was nice. All right. Bye-bye.